Hey, Long Beach. It's Jerlene, and I'm live. I am checking my socials to make sure that everything is functioning properly and sending the link to a few folks so that they know that I'm finally live. Apologize for the delay. I get start finding other information, and then I got distracted by the cats. And then for about a minute, there was sirens. But I'm here and I'm live. Um, Give me just a moment. I'm sharing links with folks so people know that I'm live. Um, how's everybody doing? It's Sunday, April 6th, 2025. Um, I know I haven't been doing this very often. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, people, to like pull information together. And as much as I would love to talk about everything, I can't. I still have a couple subjects that I need to take some time to do some commentary about. Okay, please excuse the cat. I don't know. Now listen, this cat has been sitting next to me for like 10 minutes, not moving. Now she decides to walk across the desk. So give me just a moment. I am forwarding links to people. So if you're out there watching, Jerlene Live, here to engage, inform, engage, inspire. Tonight's topic is about it's about Long Beach Unified. It's about Long Beach Unified. It's about Black students. Okay, I'm not doing a very good job of sending links, people. I need somebody assisting me with this process. But it's about Black students, Black success, Black excellence, and hopefully, this is a conversation that people are interested in. A couple small print for folks, or not even small print, big print for folks. For example, tonight I'm going to be talking about a specific position in Long Beach Unified, which is attached to a specific person. And so a few things, I'm going to be sharing information that some people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't be sharing that information. You were in a meeting, that's private. No. If I sit at a table as a representative of my community needs to know what it is that's happening in the meetings. We have too many people and folks in positions and places that claim that they are meeting with community, or that they're engaging and they represent community, but they don't share with community what is happening in these meetings. So that's not me. That's why I do this. I'm always about making sure I'm sharing information and passing information out. Also, folks like, well, why are you talking about this? Well, when I submitted my property tax bill the other day, I was reminded that over $1,000 of my dollars go to Long Beach Unified School District. So if I want to talk about Long Beach Unified School District, I'm going to talk about them every single day. And also, just part of our school districts are a public service. They're a service to the public. They're a service to the public. So we should be giving information. We should be engaging in the conversations about services, whether it be services received from the city of Long Beach, i.e., say gas department, refuse, or whatever, or the education of our youth. And the conversation does not just belong to parents with children in the district. The conversation belongs to all of us, because all of us should understand that this is our education system is about the future of our community, the future of our city, the future of our country. So that's one of the reasons why I am engaged in this conversation. So what am I talking about tonight? I am talking about a position. Let me for people who don't know me, I'm Jerlene. I am, like I said, I'm here to inform, engage, inspire. I am a Long Beach resident. I'm a mom. I am a property owner. Well, I'm a business owner, small business owner. And I have been doing commentary. I think it's since 2019 is when I started doing commentary on different things related to the community, specifically politics. And one thing that many people will realize that everything is political. Everything is political. So although this is not a conversation about all politics or local, still keep in mind that everything is political. So if you're just now meeting me, hi, I'm Jerlene. You can go through my socials. You can figure out who I am, what I stand for, and what I'm about. But I'm here just to share some information, tell the truth, right? Okay, so if you've been following me over the years, you know that I'm very passionate when it comes to the well-being and future of Black children and all children, but Black children and Black parents and their involvement in the education process. So I have been, what they say, I've been 10 toes down. I've been going hard in the paint to make sure that the needs of Black children are being met. Long Beach Unified for multiple decades have been missing the mark when it comes to the ensuring that Black students are being properly educated. Let me give an example, and I'll something that comes off the top of my head. It just data from 2022 that was reported in 2022. Barely 18% of Black students met or exceeded math standards. 18%. Anything under 50% should be considered failure. So right now, and that is just math. I'm not sure who's watching right now. Let me see. Comment. I don't know who's out there watching right now. If I have any of parents out there watching, please feel free to drop some data in the comments for me to use, because I did bring very limited outcome data with me today in this conversation. But in 2020, there was, prior to 2020, there was a push coming out of the community that was being supported by a settlement agreement, because Long Beach Unified had not been properly using funds for the most at-need students, which included Black students, and they were mandated via settlement that they had to spend money properly and really, really focus on the needs of the students of greatest needs. Well, Black students was part of that. And in the last year of the settlement agreement, Long Beach Unified made a bold and huge commitment to make Black students a priority. So prior to that, whenever there was any conversation about Black students, it was about AP students, right? It was all about the AP students or the athlete, but there was very little conversation about that other 72% students that were failing. There was very little conversation about that, right? But Long Beach Unified made a bold decision, and they decided to focus on Black students, and they launched the Black Student Achievement Initiative program. Now, again, if you've been following me, you know that when it comes to that, I've been like really going at it. The first year, Long Beach Unified, they put $750,000. Come to find out, they barely spent like $90,000 that first year. And I'm like, well, how is there going to be any success or advancement if you're not properly spending funds? Now, the good part of that, they weren't misspending it. They just weren't spending it. And also part of it because they didn't have a plan, which they still don't have a plan, by the way, y'all. So, but in this process came a conversation about a Black center, and this concept and idea of something called the Center for Black Student Excellence. Now, I got some names, some issues with that naming, but it is what it is. So they made a commitment to opening up this physical place, this center. And prior to that, there were some listening sessions, which again, if you follow me, you would know that the day that they supposedly was doing the listening session, I was like, what is this? It wasn't even to me a proper survey process, but you know, that time then passed or whatever. But part of the center was that they needed an individual who was going to support this center, that was going to lead this center. So Long Beach Unified put out a job announcement, which I'm going to pull up right now. So the job announcement that went out last year, it actually went out last year right around this time. If I recall, it went out last year right around this time, because I was just looking at some of my historical stuff on social media. And so this position, it is Director, Center for Black Student Excellence. What I'm going to do, let me see if I can find, actually, if I click off of this, yeah, you know what? I will drop the link to this when I finish this conversation. I'll drop a link so that people can actually take a look at it in themselves. So this actually came from LBUSD's website, or I found it somewhere. But it's the job description for this position. So under the Deputy Superintendent, the Director of Center for Black Student Excellence will lead, guide, create, carry forward work on the center with the the partnership of community members, staff, and students. So while we're having this conversation right now, because right away, the part that says, and carry forward the work on the center with partnership of community members. I'm a community member. And this is where the rub begins right away. So there's other things, and I'm gonna come back to this job description, but I wanted to pull it up. A well-paid position. So anyway, Long Beach Unified hired someone, and I'm gonna pull that up in just a moment. But Long Beach Unified hired a staff person for this center, and the center is supposed to have its grand opening, its ribbon cutting in May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. And so, okay, I'm trying to give some backstory. So let me tell you what happened. So many of you all know, or some of you don't know, I ran for school board last year. So prior to running for school board, I was, of course, attending school board meetings, attending any meeting associated with the Black Student of Achievement. I still continue to participate in those, but I had to take a step back as a candidate. And after the election, I took a little bit of a breather. And so I went to a few meetings, but I was not immersing myself into everything Black Student Achievement. I needed a break, right? And as the school year progressed, so they hired someone, LBUSD hired someone around in the summertime, July or something, July. They came in on August somewhere. They made an announcement in May that they were hiring someone, and then the person came in. I can drop links to all this stuff. But anyway, during that time, I kind of took a little step back, took a break, watching things from afar. One part of this Black Student Achievement initiative, there was an advisory group that had come out of it, and that was to help guide the work. And it was made up of educators, community members, and parents. I was one of those parents. I'm thinking, September is going to come around. We got a new staff person over the center, and somewhere in here it talks about, the work that's supposed to be done. I'm like, oh, we're going to start having our meetings again. September came, no meeting. October, November, December, January comes around. Get invited to a conversation or an introduction to the center. And I'm like, wow, it's great. The center is going to open, but what happened to the parent engagement piece? And so, but prior to that, so they hired this new director, and I'm going to name her in just a moment. Just give me just a moment. They hired a new director, and I made it my business to go and meet her in person, which I did. I went to a Sankofa meeting last fall, walked in, said, hello, my name is Jerlene Tatum. I am one of the parents that are responsible or that have been pushing for this work and for Black students to be a priority. I wanted to make sure I introduced myself in person versus you learning about me from someone else, because depending on who you hear about me from is going to be a whole different narrative of what you get about me. So anyway, I did that. Again, went on about my business, wasn't thinking too much of it. January of this year comes around, and I am informed that the center is going to be open. And all of a sudden, all these different questions start to come about. So here, I'm going to pull up, let's see, share this instead. Okay, so what I'm on the Long Beach Unified School District's website. They have a page dedicated to Black Student Achievement Initiative. If you are a parent in Long Beach Unified, if you are a parent of Black children in Long Beach Unified, you may already be familiar with this. At the school sites, they have something. Every month there is an event or a meeting of gathering of parents called the Sankofa Parent Village. Sankofa Parent Village is for parents and caregivers of Black children. Sankofa is I believe Guyanan term of where we look back to know how to go forward. And so there's a movement across the United States when it comes to Black, especially within the Black community, about creating these Sankofa villages, whether they're for parents or they're for students or they're just in community. So back to Black Student Achievement Initiative. So Long Beach Unified, hopefully y'all are still able to see this, because I'm not able to see. It didn't change. Hold on, y'all. I'm talking and it didn't change. Hold on. Give me a second. Being my own driver right now. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me try that again. So I'm on Long Beach Unified School District Black Student Achievement Initiative page. And so I was talking about Sankofa Village, Parent Village. There's a page for that. I've already described what it is. So back to the Black Student Achievement Initiative. So these are some newsletters that recently that came out. But they hired, I'm gonna have to, this is who, let's see if I can make this larger. Just bear with me. I am being my own driver right now. So they hired Norma Spencer as the director, Center of Black Student Excellence. And so this conversation is actually specifically about this position. Okay, someone was texting me, so they probably were telling me that I didn't have it pulled up. Okay. These are the staff members. For those of you who have been around, you've already probably most likely met Dr. Alyssa Taylor Stewart. She was the staff member that was carrying this work, had worked with Dr. Taylor before she became Dr. Taylor, had worked with her on LCAP stuff for about 2 years prior. And it was out of the LCAP work came this Black Student Achievement Initiative. So LCAP is a local control accountability plan. This issued by the state of California. This is how funding is supposed to be set for students. I know that's a mouthful. But back to they brought in, let's see, it's not, okay, there we go. They hired Norma Spencer. So Norma Spencer came out of Los Angeles. Now, I know people are going to be like, why are you about to talk about this woman? I'm in a specific position. I'm going to go back to what I opened up with. One, it's about accountability, but it's also about us really paying attention to what, how our taxpayer dollars are being spent and the outcomes. So this conversation is really about accountability. I am going to share some stuff that people are going to be like, oh my God, you should have just sent an email to her boss. Been there, done that. Okay. Been there, done that. But again, this is a conversation that I felt that at this time needed to be had for the public. So Norma Spencer was a former staff member of the Black Student Achievement Program in Los Angeles. So when we got the announcement that Spencer was being hired, I was actually really excited. I was excited, one, because I thought bringing someone in from the outside would be a really good thing for Long Beach, because then they would have a different perspective. Although there are people that work within Long Beach Unified that are definitely qualified to hold this position, yet I didn't show this. Let's see, let me go. I'm going to pull this back up here real quick. If you can see on here, I just wanted to show some of the requirements. 5 years of teaching experience, 5 years of responsible school and or central office administrative experience, teaching credential, administrative service credential. Those things are really technical. Honestly, I don't know what those credentials actually mean in education, because I'm not an educator. Yet that was some of what was required. So I don't know who within the Long Beach Unified family would meet those requirements, but I know I've engaged with different staff members in Long Beach Unified that I would definitely would love to work with. So let me go back here. So Miss Spencer was hired for this position, and she came in, like I said, let's see, it is March. She was hired, I believe, somewhere around July of last year. So we got August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Miss Spencer had yet to meet with one of the main community stakeholders of this work, Black parents. And that was when that's when red flags started flying for me. How can someone come into this position and you've not met with parents? And so myself and those of us who were part of the original, and FYI, I'm speaking for Jerlene right now. I'm not speaking for anybody else, okay? I may share some stories or whatever, but I'm speaking solely for Jerlene, not for anyone else. So members, several of us who were founding members and also individuals who pushed for Black students to be a priority in the district, we reached out and we said, hey, we would like to meet with you. Well, the first response from Mrs. Spencer was, I need to do my research on you guys before I meet with you. And I like, well, I didn't met her. I introduced myself. I know that several other people had actually been attending meetings. I think at least one of us had been at some of the meetings, the Sankofa meetings, in which falls under her oversight. It was a little off-putting. So we kind of reached out again, and then we went to the deputy superintendent and said, hey, the Black Center it's been announced that the Center for Black Excellence or Black Student Excellence is opening, and we've not had a single parent meeting. There has not been a single Black Student Achievement Initiative meeting. So if you think about this, Black Student Achievement Initiative is the initiative, right? And under this initiative comes this Black Center, in which the work, it's a physical place for different levels of work to take place, to work with Black children, Black families, so on and so forth. And so, and also symposium for, again, if you are a parent in Long Beach Unified, the last 3 years, you may have been a participant in one of the Black student symposiums. It's a day of educating and inspiring, engaging parents, youth, educators. Last few years, there's been guest speakers. We had Dr. Howard that came one day, Dr. Noguera. He's one of my favorites, actually, but I enjoyed Dr. Howard too. And again, if you've been following me, I've been sharing the pictures and everything about these conversations. There had been no conversation about the symposium. Now, the symposium was a larger way to engage community in this conversation and inspire them and engage them to be in the conversation about Black student success. Now, going back to the data point that I shared earlier about in 2022, 18% of students met or exceeded math. So that means 72% failed math standards. Well, how do we get people to participate in their child's education, or inspire a young person, or inspire a parent? You hold this symposium type event in which there was specific things that were for everybody, something for our students, something for our parents, something for our educators, and also an opportunity for us to fellowship together in that. So when we went to we reached out, we're like, hey, what's going on with our symposium? And there was like a delay in response. And after multiple emails and communications, we finally get something back that says, okay, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen the same day as the ribbon cutting ceremony for the center. We're like, okay, sounds like a challenge, but we are up to it. Well, what happened in this process? Let me go back to this. Let me go. Actually, I'm going to pull up something else, but let me go to this job description again. Carry forward the work on the center with the partnership of community members, staff, and students. And further down in the job description, it talks about collaborative leadership, leadership practices emphasizing culture and community. Focus on creating and sustaining relationships with community-based organizations that will enhance the work of the center. All these different things that leads back to community, right? Leads back to parents. Parents are a main component of community. No parents, no children. No children, no Long Beach Unified School District, right? I need everyone to understand. I'm trying to be very diplomatic right now. Okay. I'm trying my best to be diplomatic. And one thing I don't want to do is misspeak, or, someone say they're going to sue me for slander. Norma Spencer does not display any of those things. The process that I've experienced over the last few months of attempting to work with her have been horrible, to the point of last Friday, even had a verbal conversation over the phone. She didn't really like what I was saying, and she said thank you and hung up on me. And people aren't saying, well, at least she said thank you, right, before she hung up. But still, it demonstrated a level of unprofessionalism that I laughed. I laughed because it only confirmed what I had been experiencing, not just me. I have taken time to reach out to other community members who have had some kind of interaction, even some folks that work within the system, to find out what their thoughts are. And they've not been very positive about Mrs. Spencer. So it prompted me to do more research. And and again, why am I doing this? Well, the why, let's go back here. Let me add this back up. The why is because there were a group of us that worked very hard to push Long Beach Unified to make the commitment to put a financial commitment to Black students. That took years. And the boldness that Long Beach Unified and its leadership went through to make the commitment to put a financial value on it is very important. And the last thing we need is somebody coming in and take it and stealing the money. And I'm saying stealing the money because if you're not doing the work, you're stealing the money. So for example, you hire a gardener, right? And you're going to pay him, I don't know, $100 to come clear up your grass. And he shows up, he doesn't do the work, and he asks for his money. You going to pay him? So I know that's like an oversimplified analogy, but this is kind of where we are right now. So this is why I'm having this conversation, because when I opened up, I talked about how Long Beach Unified made a $750,000 commitment to students. And then that first year, they barely spent $90,000. Okay. So here it is on the other extreme. They've made the commitment, but they're going to spend money on someone that's not doing the work. And you're like, well, Jerlene, what do you mean they're not doing the work? I have a question. If you are a parent in Long Beach Unified, what have you seen? Let's draw it into another space and place. We've had multiple incidents that have impacted Black community, Black children that's happening. One of them was the incident in Cabrillo. And whether you see it good, bad, indifferent, whether we had all the information or not, this role and position, excuse all my notes on here, the role and position, that person should have been the person reaching out to community stakeholders and saying, hey, it's not what it looks like yet. This is what we're doing within Long Beach Unified, and providing some level of comfort to African-American / Black students and parents in that incident. The same thing at Man, although we learned that there was more to the story with the monkey and the toilet prize that was given to a Black child. We learned that there was more to the story, but still that impacted a community. It impacted a family. And did Miss Spencer reach out to them? Thank goodness some of us in community did reach out to those reach out to people who were concerned and work to get information. But why would we have a position in Long Beach Unified if they're not bringing Black community together, if they're not advocating, if they're not in community? And so I've had a total of 5 meetings, which Ms. Spencer has been present. And in one of the initial meetings, she repeatedly said she met with community. She met with community. When I said, well, what community? She could not define that. And I said, if that community did not include parents, and you met with the wrong community. Okay. So in my research, I did come across something. So let me see. I'm going to share something. So I asked a few questions in the introduction, and I'm going to work to wrap this up, y'all, because I'm talking way too much. I don't even know how long I've been going at this point. So what I have on the screen right now, let me make sure I have it up. Oh, of course, I'm not. How do I do this? Add to the stage. Here we go. I'm using an app called StreamYard, and StreamYard has gotten really fancy, much better. Since I haven't been on it that often, I'm rusty. I'm learning as I go. So please be patient with me. So what I've pulled up right now is a podcast that Miss Spencer participated in January. And it's really interesting. Actually, when I finished listening to this, I was absolutely angry. And the reason I was angry is because some of the things were stated, she spoke as if she had been a major player in this work, as a person who pushed forward this work in Long Beach. And she's not. She only arrived last year. and she only met with parents March of this year. March. Yeah. So I'm just, and then again, so one of the questions that I initially asked when because after learning that Long Beach Unified had hired Miss Spencer out of LAUSD, I did learn that she had been let go of LAUSD. And I said, well, maybe she was let go because she was one of those people that pushed against the status quo. Maybe she was let go because she was blackity black, and they just couldn't handle it. Well, I was wrong. And so people are like, well, Jerlene, how do you know that? Well, she admits it, or I would say she shares it in this podcast. So I want to play it because I want people to hear it for themselves. One thing that I tell people all the time, do your own homework. I can share information with you. I would like you to believe me. I would like you to trust me. But I think it's very important that people do your own homework. It's not very hard. Well, no, it is hard. It is a lot of work. But one thing that when I come to the table, I'm coming to the table with facts, not fiction. And so I'm going to cue this. Hopefully I cue this in the right place. Hopefully my notes are good. And hopefully this plays. I don't know if anyone's watching right now. I need, let me know if you can hear this. Hopefully you're able to hear this when I play this. Here we go. Let me cue it back a little bit. So this is Miss Spencer talking about her work with LAUSD and it coming to an end.
Change the narrative for our youth. Well, I had already done it in Los Angeles with a whole team of people surrounding me, the kids, the family, making sure we were really going to make it happen. So I threw my name in the hat. When I showed up for the interview, the prompt said, assume the role as the director. So I told everyone, listen, I'm going to assume the role as the director. And Yoli, it was like having a conversation. And it was a conversation about the successes that I had already experienced in this work. How we had kids who we couldn't even find showing up for school every day because they knew somebody was looking for them because somebody was loving on them. We had kids making up a whole year of classes that they had missed during winter time, during the summertime, so they could be on track to graduate. We had teachers.
Okay, I'm pausing that because clearly I did not have my cue. I did not have my cue in the right place. So give me a second. Somewhere I didn't have my cue in the right place, but let's see. Let me try this again. So give me just a moment. Bear with me.
Rolling up at homes, not Black student learning. They have been neglected, not seen, not heard. These were the kids.
This is so funny, y'all. I actually had this queued up to the right place, and clearly my notes are hot. Look, these are my notes, y'all. Okay, I'm going to bypass that because I have a whole bunch of numbers and all my numbers are looking the same right now. So basically in this commentary, she says that, LAUSD made a decision to, change direction and they let her go. Or they said that they no longer needed her services. That's exactly what she said. They no longer needed my services. And if someone else is watching, I know that there's another person watching that is also went through this. If you know exactly where that time mark is, please let me know. But I'm going to go ahead to another part. But if you were listening, though, she talked about what she's already done, right? She talked about what she had already done and the success. Well, I just gave, that one little data point of Long Beach Unified and how poorly Black students are doing in Long Beach Unified. LAUSD is doing a lot worse than us. They have a larger population of Black students. Long Beach only has, out of the 63,000 students, Long Beach only has about 12% of Black students. So that's under 8,000 students, basically. LAUSD is massive compared to Long Beach. But in that, she talks about the successes she had. So even with that, here it is, someone who talked about success, but we've yet to see the work here happen here in Long Beach, okay? So let me go and hopefully I have my next cue. I sure did. Maybe, let me try this. Sometimes I'm realizing I'm writing numbers kind of, I wouldn't say backwards, but let's see if this is the right cue. Hold on.
But they're going to show up because they know that you care about them.
Okay. No, that's not it. Well, anyway, so again, someone that's talking about they did the work, but then if you look at LAUSD and you look at Long Beach, LUSD is not very successful, and they've had some drama that has gone on within their equity, their Black student. How did I say equity? Their Black student program, which made me again red flag. Like, why would Long Beach choose someone? And I'm like, did Long Beach do their homework? Did Long Beach do? Did Long Beach LBUSD do their homework before they hired Miss Spencer? Okay, let's see if I can get to my next place in here, because now I'm like, let's go. Let me see. So one of the reasons I am doing this is I want people to hear her own words. I know it's one thing for me to say something, but I do want them to hear. So even about this podcast, some of the information, there's a lot of misinformation. There's misinformation and misrepresentation, which is actually kind of frightening. In the meetings that I've sat in, Ms. Spencer has been disingenuous and some of the information that she shared, and it's again more red flags. And I'm like, well, how can there be trust in the community if the person is and it's not even about transparency, it's about honesty. It's about honesty and integrity. And how can there be like true community, going back to this job description of community, if the person who's supposed to lead this work is disingenuous, not honest, and lacks some integrity? So anyway, I'm going to play. Oh, Lord, did all that and then lost it. Hold on. Just be patient with me. I will also drop this link into.
And out of those listening sessions, they said, Long Beach Unified School District, listen up. This is what we want. We want you to include us as partners in this educational process. We're not educators. We don't necessarily know how to navigate the system, but you are.
Okay, so that little bit of clip that I shared right now, that is where she's talking about listening sessions that took place prior to her arrival. And what's really interesting is how she said that we want to be partners. My experience the last few months have been everything but. Okay. And again, I wanted to use her own words because my experience has been contradictory, and it's not just been mine. Like I said, I'm only speaking for Jerlene, and I really need to wrap this up, y'all. So I'm going to show you two other things, and I'm going to wrap this up. This conversation. One, I think it's very important that people know what's going on within our systems, and we need to be willing to ask the questions. We need to be willing to ask the questions, is this serving us? And if it's not serving us, we need to be willing to speak out and say. In this case, I do not believe, and this is my opinion, based upon my experience and based upon the information that I'm discovering, I do not believe that Norma Spencer is the best person to lead this work in Long Beach. And especially with the opening of the center, which has no plan, by the way, that's a whole nother conversation that needs to be taking place. This is very problematic. And even when she talked about work that she had done before, if you've done work before, what's the plan? And that's been a question, like, what's the plan for the center? There's going to be this opening, but what is the plan for the center? How is it going to serve us? Now, I am going to show you this nice, pretty, glossy document that was prepared by a consultant firm. I'm going to show that in just a moment, and then I'm going to wrap this up. But let me go ahead and play this real quick.
The way that we're moving. But what I am saying is, for the first time ever in Long Beach's history, we're putting the Black student at the front and center of the conversation. And we're going to be unrelentless until the inequities have been resolved. And the kids know it. The teachers know it. The administrators know it. As I'm going school by school and talking about the center, principals are leaning in. They want more. I'm bringing one brochure. They want one brochure for every family that.
So I'm going to pause that. If hopefully folks heard what she said right there. Do we know it? Now, she's talking about meetings that she's had with principals at school sites. Principals at school sites are not community. Principals at school sites have been a barrier for the advancement of Black students because it has not been a priority for them. Each school site receives funding receives a little small bucket of money that they can use to engage Black parents. I've attended the ones at Milligan. I've shared my concerns about what's happened there, and how that's been playing out. Yet it's still, that's not going to principals, is not connecting with parents, because those principals are disconnected from parents. And my principal knows me by name because I've made an intention to do that, but that is not the norm. And again, talking about, like, do we actually know? And I just again wanted to share that. There's more. I'll have to actually let me see. I have some notes. And this is thoughts from someone who also listened to it. Who listened to this in entirety. Sounded like she's taking credit for the work of others. I agree. As a new employee, she does not understand the history and infrastructure of LBUSD and all that went in BSAI. Now, she should, because in my initial meeting with her and other parents, we explained that. And plus, a good leader would seek out and get that information going in. No real mention. So further in this conversation, she talks about the center. No real mention of the center's purpose, goals, and plan for the future. And then there's also no mention of the tie of the 2035 plan. If anyone remembers, I had shared some information about, in Long Beach Unified, they have a plan called the 2035 plan. And it's this long plan to be able to talk about what the school, what we envision Long Beach looking like in 2035. Yeah, so that's it. So I'm going to stop there. Let's see. I think I had one more. What was the day? One more. So, if this gets to Miss Norma Spencer, which is fine, because everything that I'm sharing here, I've already shared. Okay. That's also what I need folks to understand. The things that I'm sharing, the concerns that I'm sharing here publicly, they have already been verbalized to Miss Norma. And something that happened in a meeting last Monday is when she was unhappy with what was being shared, she started talking through her teeth. And as my son says to me, "Mom, don't crash out." I crashed out, y'all. So that is contrary to being able of engaging parents in this conversation. So here's another thing. Again, I want you to hear this, and I'm sharing this because this messaging here is contradictory to the reality.
Sankofa Parent Village is basically an African story where it says we leave no one behind.
That right there, that was not the one I was going to share. But first of all, that is not true. That is not what Sankofa is. So here it is. It's someone that in their job description, it states that they are continuation and oversight of Sankofa Summers, Sankofa Saturday, and the Sankofa Parent Village. She doesn't even know what Sankofa means. I'm going to stop right there on that. Let me stop sharing that one. Well, hold on. Let me go. This is taking way much longer than I had anticipated. One other thing I'm going to share. So there is this beautiful glossy document that Long Beach Unified put out. And let's see if I can find it. Actually, and it is called the Center of, here, hopefully y'all can see this. Let's see, add to stage. Oh, you get to see my whole page. That's not what I was trying to do. But this document, am I on the right thing? Hopefully y'all can see this. So this document is supposed to outline the objectives of the center. Well, one thing it does not do, it's not a plan. So let's see if you guys are able to see this. Clearly I have the wrong tab. Let's try this again. Anyway, I'm going to drop a link here because I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to read something off of the document that I was attempting to share right now. Hold on. So this, okay, I'm going to actually bring this up again because I need you all to see this. All right, I'm going to bring it up anyway. It's a little challenging for you all to see, but I do want you to, I want to know, you all to know where I'm reading from. And I'm going to read this and I'm going to close this out. This document was put together by a consulting firm called West Ed. I really want to know how much it cost, but it says, talking about the Center of Black Student Excellence will remain committed to ongoing dialogue and input with the Black community to refine its design, influence, pragmatic offerings, and identify ways to foster inclusivity and belonging throughout the community, district, and classrooms. Through this collaboration and partnership, the Center of Black Student Excellence and LBUSD aim to create more empowering environments where Black students, families, community members feel welcome and liberated to flourish without barriers and with joy. So a couple things: input with the Black community. During the time that Ms. Spencer's been here, that is input is definitely not something that she has been receiving willingly. Okay. And has actually been very reluctant to it. And I'm not gonna go into any details of what's been happening in our planning sessions, in preparing for a symposium and the ribbon cutting, but I will just say it's been chaos. And it's been chaos because these principles or these guidelines that are outlined in here, community members feel welcome and even accepting input. As a director, those are characters or things that she should exemplify. She does not. Going back, okay, thank you. Someone actually dropped something in here. Let's here. Thank you for pulling that up, Kim. Origin of Sankofa. Sankofa originates from Akan people of Ghana, a region in West Africa. The word Sankofa translates to go back and get it, encouraging reflection on the past to inform the present and future. So again, in her Mrs. Spencer's role, she doesn't even know how to define Sankofa. And again, I've said a whole bunch. This is, like I said, this is more, it's a bigger conversation. Going back and pull this back up again, the concern that I have and the concern that others should have is, how is our money being spent? And are things happening and being delivered? Many of the things that are outlined in this job description, they're not being met. And to the point of where I'll have to be honest, in one of the meetings, I was asking for clarity on the role and responsibility. She was unable to articulate that. So yet through the conversation, I kept hearing about all the things that she was not responsible for. So I took the liberty of reading portions of her job description in the meeting. Again, I'm very passionate about what happens with our Black students. As a parent who has, sat at the table fighting and advocating for Black children through the anti-Blackness, right? Being told that Black students are not important and valued and having to push for that. This is very important. And one thing that I've known, Black faces in high places does not always translate to Black success, nor all kinfolk. And so this is one of those cases. And so if anybody sits all the way through this, I can definitely there's more detail. I will take the time to actually put some of this stuff in writing and share it publicly. Yet I do encourage other people to be engaged, ask questions, be concerned. For those of you who do not have children in Long Beach Unified, if you're a property owner, you make an investment into Long Beach Unified every time you pay your property taxes. If you are a renter, you make an investment into it, because every time your property owner raises their rent, guess what? It's probably because they're trying to cover their property taxes. So just know that you make an investment into the well-being and contributions of not just Black students, but all students. So we should be concerned about all the decisions that are being made. And our school system is a service to community. It is not a private business. It's not a private function. It's public. It belongs to the public. Therefore, we should be able to engage in conversation. And if sometimes that means that we have to call out an individual, then we have to call out that individual. Now, on that call out, this position reports to the deputy superintendent of schools, who reports to the superintendent of schools, who reports to the school board. They need to be paying attention. I'm sure they're not going to be very thrilled with this, but they're not very thrilled with me half the time anyway. And guess what? I don't care, because my taxpayer dollars helps to pay their salaries as well as yours. So just remember that we are the customer, we are the client, we are the public. These services exist for the benefit of us, and these services would not exist if we did not exist. Anyway, it's been Jerlene, here to engage, inform, inspire. I didn't say anything funny tonight, but I will drop relevant links. I'll drop all those links on both the YouTube and the Facebook. Please like, share, react, comment. If you have more questions, feel free to ask the questions in the comments, or ask the questions to me privately if you want to do that. If you, and again, there's so many other topics that I would like to talk about. This one was a pressing one. And yeah, you all have a good night, or good day, good morning, whenever you watch this. It's Jerlene, and I'm live.